Today marks the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery, which aims to shine a light on the exploitation of an estimated 40 million people around the world. Modern forms of slavery include forced labour, debt bondage, forced marriage and human trafficking. With lockdowns limiting personal freedoms, UN experts are warning the pandemic could actually be fuelling exploitation. Well, to discuss this further, we're joined now by Todd Landman, Executive Director of the Rights Lab and Professor of Political Science at Nottingham University. Thank you very much for your time. Where is it that we are most likely to come across examples of modern-day slavery?
So it can happen anywhere, and if you're thinking about your viewers in Europe, it is all over Europe, but at a small level of prevalence. So, comparatively across the world, there are countries where it's far more prevalent than in Europe, but it exists in every country. Here in the UK, there's a problem of modern slavery across the country, and it comes in different forms. So there are forms of forced labor, forced marriage, sexual exploitation throughout Europe in varying degrees.
What are the particular failings to combat it? Where are we not doing enough, or where is the legislation failing in identifying and then being able to, free those people from those situations?
First is public awareness. It's a term that, raises eyebrows when one uses the word modern slavery. Throughout Europe, people often talk about human trafficking, but the modern slavery discourse has risen to prominence partly through the articulation of the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations, as well as here in the UK with the Modern Slavery Act of 2015. And that language now is throughout policy documents, through non-governmental organizations, academic institutions like ours. So it's becoming a common parlance to describe a multifaceted phenomenon. There are laws in place. Like I said, we have the Modern Slavery Act here in the United Kingdom, and there are international legal instruments, human rights instruments, European instruments that address this problem. But of course, law is one thing, action is another. The other big challenge is simply getting visibility of the problem. So the measurement problem, as we call it, it's a crime that's hidden in plain sight. It's often right on the streets in front of you. And we have developed techniques here, phone apps and other things for people to recognize the markers and signals of modern slavery and to be able to feed back that information so that law enforcement, government officials, NGOs, care services and others can come together and help survivors of modern slavery. But equally to go after the perpetrators of this crime.
Todd Landman, thank you very much for the explanation. Executive Director of the Rights Lab and Professor of Political Science at Nottingham University.